Hey everybody, welcome to today's webinar. Super excited about this one. It's a great potential opportunity, something that not a lot of people are doing yet, which is building AI apps with no code. And in particular, I literally mean AI apps rather than, we've all seen these AI code generators where you can build tools and websites and things like that. But we're actually going to be building AI apps with LLM requests in them in a special way that we will go into a lot of detail on. So we go ahead and present this. I've got a short presentation, some little upfront information, details, some tips, and then I'll get into building, actually diving into building some apps and examples and all kinds of stuff, prompts and things. But yeah, thank you for joining. My name is Mark Fulton. I'm a prompt engineer and solopreneur. My primary business is doing this weekly AI training at reinventing.ai. I also have SmartGPT. It's a prompt enhancement AI agent, and Didus is an AI marketing agent. Quite a few other things going on. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. So what are structured output AI apps? It's basically AI generated tools that use LLM responses, and the responses are in a strict JSON format that we can use to do really cool things. So it's kind of structured data response from the OpenAI or whatever your preferred LLM is. So why is this a valuable opportunity? It opens up functionality that we can do many different things with one single LLM request. A lot of traditional apps that you see today, AI tools today, are simply prompt in, text content out in a big paragraph chunks or whatever it may be. We're going to be able to build apps that have granular data that's structured in a way where we can get multiple different data points or pieces of content in one single response. So you can use the structured output that we get back to do innovative and unique different ways, build dynamic, interactive, more robust applications. So it also saves you obviously from having to do multiple LLM requests, where in the past you would have to do, say, for example, if you wanted to generate an article in an automation workflow or something, you would have to generate a title and then generate, the categories or the tags all separately. Now we can do it all in one, and then use those uh, individual data points in unique ways. So JSON is structured schema containing properties, this kind of just items in a defined data format. It's basically the most popular way that apps and tools and APIs send and receive data. So it's not technically code, it's more of a structured data format. So here's some example AI apps that you could use structured outputs with. So an article generator, like I just mentioned, where you could have the title, the category, the tags, a meta description, an FAQ section, a prompt for an image. You can have all of that generated in one shot. Client proposal generator, you could have put some input about your client, have some information about your products and services as context, and then have a nice proposal generated with all the different data points. Personality report. This is just an idea I had off the top of my head. You could have someone fill out a few form fields and then have a personality report with different sections or like different sliding scales of personality. And you can obviously apply that to different things than personality as well. One thing I've found very useful is to get sets of ideas or next steps in a process or action items. We can have those generated and then used in something like a to-do list, for example, or a meeting summary generator that generates action steps as well. And also custom marketing tools, really useful. I've found I've been using this to develop kind of little um, personal productivity apps and tools, basically to help me do marketing. We're going to look at an example of that today as well. So the core components of these AI apps are your initial prompts that we're going to be sending to the code generator, which in this case today, we're going to be working with Bolt. So your initial prompt is very important. It kind of starts the whole process off and kickstarts how the direction is going to go. So it's very important to get that initial prompt set up correctly. And I'm going to walk you through creating that prompt. Your API and your schema information. So we need to also provide some information about the OpenAI API and how it works so that the code generator does it properly. And then we also need to provide some information about our JSON schema. What data do we want to get back? Basically, we need to tell it kind of what we want it to do there. Then our system prompts, this typically will be automatically generated by the code generator. It will come up with a basic system prompt or chat completion prompt for us, but it's wise to go in and edit that as well. It's a core component, essentially. It's why it's on this list. And then action steps. This is optional. However, okay, there is sound. Sorry, I was reading the chat. Action steps is optional. But basically, this is steps that come after the chat completion request. So whatever you want to do with that return data, it could be any number of things. And there's some really cool stuff that you can do to make kind of full, well-rounded solutions. And we'll talk about those as well. Just to get your gears turning right now, basically it could be rendering that data into a nice layout, a report. It could be sending that data to a make.com automation workflow. It could be using that data for a second prompt completion request. So there's a lot you can do, and we'll talk about all three of those actually. So let's get into it. And I'm going to go ahead and drop the training document link. I think I have it on my clipboard already. Yep. So in the chat, you'll find a link to this document. If you want to follow along with your own document open, that's fine. I would just ask that you please try to not get ahead of yourself and just make sure that you're following along as we go. So the tech stack is bolt.new. I'm a huge fan of this. I've already done some training on this. If you're a member, you're familiar with it. There's an alternative as well that I've provided here, lovable.dev. Haven't used it as much, but I've heard some people like it and it's cheaper. Bolt.new, I think, is 10 or I think you can get started with some free credits, obviously. But I pay for the expensive plan because I love it and I'm using it a lot. You also need an API key. You could use, I actually have built one with the new DeepSeek v3 API. This is an open source model that's newly released, and it's extremely affordable. You can get millions of tokens for $2. It's crazy. But OpenAI is also a wise choice, especially if you're using the newer 4.0 models. It performs really good. So let's go into crafting. Well, let me just quickly show you the type of thing you can build first to give you a little teaser. So I built and launched this app last week. I think it took me a day to build this, just working with Bolt. But basically, this is quite a lot of tokens and back and forth went into this. This is using the DeepSeek API. I'm using the structured outputs to use this recommended actions tool. So if I just put SEO article 300 words, I can hit recommended actions, and it's doing a structured output request in the back, and it fills in, it recommends these apps, actions for me. So that's the type of functionality that we'll be able to do. That's just one way you could use this. And so yeah, that's one app. And then let's see. The one we're going to look at today, this is the app. It's Prospect Analysis Dashboard. And I will be sharing this project with you. So you'll be able to import this into Bolt and get started customizing it if you want, or playing around with it. But basically this app is, you paste in some information about a prospect, and then you paste in some, or type some information about you and your business. Fulton, founder, reinventing. I just put some random stuff in here. Phone 91055. Hey, no. So some random information about you. I just pulled up this, just a random person I found on LinkedIn. I'm going to put it, just say they're a potential prospect, put some information about them. And what this app is going to do is help me tailor some direct outreach messaging, just grabbing some random information about this potential client, basically. Obviously, you may want to go into more detail, but I'm just showing you an example here. And what we're going to get back, look at the chat. Can't download the document. Is the document not working? Let me know. But here's what we get back from that app. So we've got a score. So it's this request is saying this is an 8 out of 10 good prospect, qualified prospect. Here's a LinkedIn connection request message. Here's an introduction email. It's got my details. It's saying how I can help. Here's some recommended services and a list. And I can come in and edit these. Immediate actions I can perform for this potential customer client. You can definitely go into more detail here. These are just a starter framework, basically, and an idea for an app. And this was all created with one single prompt that I'm giving you guys. Missing the menu to add to Canva. Oh yeah, Curtis. I shared it in a bit of a different way. If it's better, I can share the actual Canva link. Yeah. That's an idea, Curtis. Ideal customer profile. You can definitely build an app to work with that. That was an idea I had as well. And I have a list of ideas at the bottom of the document as well. But let's go look at this prompt. Actually, before we get into the prompt, I'll just kind of give you the steps you need to build your own prompt. So instead of just giving you the prompt, I also want you to learn how to do this as well. So your initial prompt is essential. You want to describe the overall goal and user experience in detail from when the user arrives at the page of your app to when they get their ultimate desired results. You want to describe that whole process in your initial prompt. So the second step would be to outline and describe the following features. The following, which would be all the functions and features of your app. You don't have to go into minute detail because you can come back and follow up with a request to make revisions, but I like to be very thorough in my initial prompt. I find that helps kick things off correctly. You need to describe the input fields and the type of fields that they are. So if they're a text input area, checkbox, um, all kinds of things, whatever that may be. Optional fields, user profile data that you want to maybe save, required pages. If you're going to have a multi-page app, you need to describe those. If you want supplemental sections like a header, a navigation, a hero section, a call to action, or a footer, you need to describe those in your prompt as well. You can, like I said, follow up, but I like to make sure that I kind of think through the whole thing in my initial prompt, at least touch on what I can come up with initially. So outline, you need, the third step is to provide those API details that I mentioned in the presentation. Especially for structured JSON output. So what I did basically was I went to the OpenAI API documentation for structured outputs, and I've given it some information from here. Basically, I will say that they do have a new structured outputs functionality. However, it's so new that it's not really included and solidified in training data. Bolt uses Claude 3.5 Sonnet on the backend to code. And the information from this API doc is not really solidified in Claude 3.5 Sonnet yet. So we need to provide this, copy and paste some information. And also it's not 100% reliable for the new structured outputs model. However, if we do it correctly, we can get the JSON mode to work just fine. So this response format type JSON object, this is mainly what we're going to be working with on Bolt. I just wanted to mention that there is a difference, and that this new way of doing it will probably work more reliably soon, but it's a little hit and miss right now. But not to worry, because this JSON mode works just fine. And basically we're providing information about this new JSON mode. And then finally, you would connect to Supabase, which is, you'll see that, let me close this. You'll see that up top right of Bolt, you'll see connect to Supabase. I really recommend that only do this once everything is functioning and buttoned up like you like it. You're at a nice place with your app on Bolt where you feel you're ready to maybe deploy and share it with some people or test it. This way, all the fields, all the data input components, functions for the user profile are all done. And then you would send it to Supabase, because it's important to have that structure set up to have a structured database for your app. This is optional. This is really for if you need like a user login, or if you want to have a persistent archive of results or things like that. It is optional. And here's a tip here. You can have, if you need help like coming up with these items here for your app, you can just basically go to ChatGPT 01 and say, hey, I'm building an AI app using the OpenAI API. I want to do this, this, and this. I'm using structured JSON. And it'll help you kind of formulate an outline for your project that you can use in your Bolt prompt. And you can also use this prompt. So let's get into my prompt that I'm sharing with you guys. The structured API, basically what you want to do is, I'm going to put some, basically this part here in bold is what you can customize to your liking. But this is a prompt to generate this app here, this potential prospect analysis and we're getting this structured data response. And we may go in and make some revisions or build some other apps if we have time, which I think we should have time to do at least one more. So it says, let me zoom in a little bit. I want to build a nicely styled AI app featuring structured JSON output, OpenAI chat completion. I want to provide some information about a potential prospect, and I want the app to generate a structured JSON response that we can use to create personalized outreach messaging in various formats. I want to have one large text area input to paste the details of the prospect, and then the JSON schema should include the following professional copy. So I'm basically outlining what data I want back from my chat request in structured format. So a personalized request, connection request, introduction email, list of recommended services, list of action items for marketing, and then a qualification score. Obviously, you can continue going and make it more detailed if you like. Up to, the response from one request is going to be up to 4,000 something tokens for GPT-4o mini. Depends what model you use. You can go wild. I then want to have another text area where I paste the details of my marketing services that will be included as context in the system prompt. This field should be saved in the browser cache. So this is a really great trick if you want to have a field. No, actually, that's not a typo. That's an HTML term, I think. Yeah. It's without a space, Curtis. So this field should be saved in the browser cache. So yeah, you can tell the model to save certain fields in the browser cache, and it will keep that anything you input into that field, or if you select a checkbox or something like that, it will maintain persistent in your browser cache. And super useful for building kind of apps and tools for productivity where you don't even need a database at all, but you can continue to come back and have that data saved. It's really, really convenient. So that's a nice trick to use for saving data in certain form input fields. Use the return structured outputs to build a nicely styled prospect dashboard where I can quickly copy each element to the clipboard. Also make each item editable. So that's my prompt for this particular app. But you kind of get the idea. You want to describe the experience that the user's going to have. So it's basically saying, I wanted to do this or this and this and this. And then having that JSON schema defined of what items you want. And then what it should do with those returned schema data. And then the rest of this prompt is essentially just training information about using the JSON object response format. I'm going to change this to 4o mini just so it doesn't get confused. But let's see. And then finally at the bottom here, you need to put your API key here where this is. I have the link to this project here, this Bolt project, so you can import it. I'll just ask that you change the API key. I'm going to delete this API key soon, but it should work right out of the box. And to do that, you will need to go. So in Bolt, and you can see that this is the prompt. This is the exact prompt that I just showed you right there. And it was just one single prompt. You'll notice there's no follow-up requests. It did it all in one shot, which is really, I think the beauty of taking your time with creating that detailed initial prompt, really helpful to get your app started. Um, but if you go into code here, you can see all of the files, the full stack files that Bolt has built for the app. And if you go to .env, you'll see where you can edit the API key here. So you'll need to delete this and paste your own API key in if you want to continue working on this project. This API key will work for a little while. Okay. And then I want to make sure that this doesn't, I want to make sure this is like a good starting point for you. So I'm going to go ahead and rerun that same prompt so I don't interfere. Oh, damn it. Didn't save the API key. Okay. Let's see. Create a new one. So you can get your API key from platform. I've got that linked. So I'm gonna put that key there. And that's that prompt. So let's see, it may obviously look a little bit different than the previous app because the nature of LLMs, they don't output the same thing every time, but it should do a similarly good job, I hope. If not, we'll have to go back to the other one or do some debugging. You will encounter bugs with Bolt, especially if you're trying to do some complex stuff. Um, it's pretty common. Usually it needs to work things out sometimes. So you can see it's writing the system prompt there. It's got the wrong model. This is a very common problem. Probably one of the few things you'll need to adjust almost every time. It's the same problem with the training data. It references old models often. Okay, so this one looks even better, actually. It's more nicely formatted. But I'm going to go ahead. I noticed that model was incorrect. So I'm going to go ahead and change that model to 4.0 mini. And I don't know if this works flawlessly, but I've been doing this just out of curiosity to see if it works. You can add a comment in here to do not change this model because sometimes it likes to do that a lot. I don't know if this helps or not. I think it has failed me once or twice, but I don't know. It can't hurt. And then speaking of system prompts, this is the prompt in the back end that the prompt request. So you're likely going to want to maybe come in here and modify this, improve it, iterate it. What you can do is copy and paste this into ChatGPT 01 or ChatGPT 4.0, whatever you have, and then say, hey, how can I improve this system prompt to make my app more robust or add more relevant JSON properties for my schema, whatever you like, and kind of work from there. So you can see it's including this service details, which is this My Marketing Services box here as context. And then it's asking it to generate a JSON response with the following items. So we've got all the items we requested. And then the response format is JSON object. So this now should work fine. Let me just test it quickly. I've got that info from Rob. Here we go. Analysis was incomplete. Let me see. That's strange. Anyone with a copy? Yeah, let me share that document. Oh, wait, that's the wrong one. Yeah, here's the document. So I've not seen that error before, but what I suspect is the JSON structure is not working. So I'm going to say this is we're going to do some debugging. I'm getting a error. So yeah, it updated the model again. It didn't listen to me. What else did it do? I updated the response structure to match the OpenAI, fixed the finished reason check location. So it did some stuff and it changed my model again. I hate when it does that. So I'm going to go back to 4.0 mini, save. There we go. Okay, we got it working. So we've got a score. I don't know why that's adjustable. Oh, probably because I said that I should be able to edit. That's funny. I didn't think it would make that one editable. Um, so yeah, we've got that working. Let me see. And obviously you can come in and add features, functions. I was trying to think in that silence there about what I should, add to this. I can't, I'm kind of drawing a blank, but we could just test some things. Let's add check boxes next to the action items and recommended services so I can mark the complete. Save this state in the browser. I don't know, just a random idea so I can kind of show you the experience of editing the app and how it goes. And if this works out better than the initial example project that I shared, I'll share this link as well if you guys want it. And then we can also build some other ones from scratch. Let's go back to this document and talk about some next steps that you can do after that. So one thing you can do to amplify the potential is to have the structured response that you get back be used in full or in part as a context for an additional step, chat completion step. So for example, you can generate an outline for a book, for example, generate a chapter outline. And then what you can do is take those structured chapter outlines and have an app that writes an entire book. So the app can just go chapter by chapter, and you can do full length full length chat completion requests for each chapter. That's just one idea. So intelligent prompt chains, basically. And if you want to go even one step further, you can get into meta prompting, which is where we could have the LLM generate prompts for us to do different things. And then have those prompts be run automatically. Kind of autonomous AI you could build using Bolt. And I've done some experimenting with that and it works. Another powerful technique is to take this data and send it to make.com. If you're not familiar with make.com, it's like Zapier. You could also use Zapier. And what you would do is basically create a make scenario. And the first step would be a webhook. And it's going to provide you with a webhook URL. And all you need to do, you're welcome, JP. I'm not really sure what you're referring to, but you're welcome. Sending the data to make.com. Okay, yeah. So what all you need to do is provide that make.com webhook URL. And basically you would say something like, whoops. You would say, oh, I just messed up the numbers. There we go. Send the structured JSON response to my make.com webhook. And then you would paste the URL. Actually, I would say after the chat completion is returned, send the structured, yeah, you get the idea. Basically, you use a prompt like that, something like that. And that's going to send that structured JSON to your make.com webhook. It's already going to know how to do that on the back end. It's a very common coding technique to do. You don't even have to give it any API information. It's going to know how to do that. And once you test it, you'll see the structured data appear in your make.com scenario. And then you can use that data to create automation workflows, send emails to people, all kinds of really cool things. Yeah. Oh, glad to hear that, JP. Another way you can use this structured outputs.
Are you done with your water?
What's up, Curtis?
Oh, sorry, buddy.
Oh, no way. I thought you were asking a question. You can send that structured data to a database. Basically, you could create a platform, so to speak. One of the examples that I'm providing to my accelerator members, because I was so excited and I want so many people to experience Bolt and that we can now build apps, I made this training free. So as a thank you to my paid members, I'm giving them copies of my Deep Sequencer app and a social media content calendar app. So this app here, I actually have it behind a login. So I just took a screenshot of it, but the members, I'm going to post in the private community after this webinar. I'm going to post and share these with you. But here's an idea. Basically, I've given it a project brief, and then I have it generating a full calendar of content. And each one of these you can open up and then generate the content. So it's not actually generating all of the content. It's generating the ideas and the plan, so to speak. And then you can click through and then generate that content. So kind of a way to save token costs, but also get the job done. And this was built with Bolt, and I'll be sharing for that as well. Yeah. I mean, view only should be fine, right? I don't know what the difference is to have it on Canva. But anyway, I can share it via email as well. So that's what, and this all gets saved in the database, which was my point. So this app has a login it's connected to Supabase and all that. And then finally, this idea is you can add a second chat completion. We kind of touched on this already a little bit with the DeepSeek, where it's basically you can help users fill out a form with AI. Super powerful and users love this, obviously. Or you could have like a generate prompt or an enhance prompt button or something like that. You can use that technique. Here's some ideas. So let's get into some other ideas. Content repurposing tool, really powerful idea. You can, paste a LinkedIn post and then have an app that generates a tweet, a Facebook post, an email, all in one shot for you. I'm sure that's something a lot of you would like to build for yourself. Client quote proposal generator, input some details about your client and then what their needs are, have a proposal all generated for you. That's a good use case. Landing page generator. So you could potentially use structured outputs to have these individual elements of a landing page custom bespoke built on the fly, basically super crazy. Something I'm particularly personally probably going to be building and working on is a sales funnel generator. This is something I came up with an idea where it would kind of be like a combination between a lead magnet and a sales funnel where the user inputs some information about themselves and it actually generates a sales funnel on the fly that's personalized to them. I think that's a crazy, I'm going to underline that because I think that has a lot of potential. And this may be the future of marketing. I believe it may be. Having these campaigns hyper personalized based on user inputs. Personality report, lead magnet generator, SEO article generator, profile optimizer, to-do list app that generates items, meeting summary app that generates a summary of your meeting and then it generates action items like a to-do list app, data analysis report generator. So if you're working with like a lot of data points or numbers and figures, sales, whatever it may be, you can actually generate a report that has charts as well based on those data, the structured data that you get back. So one thing I want to mention is that these coding platforms can do a lot more than you think they can do. So don't be afraid to push the limits, kind of come up with crazy ideas. The worst thing that can happen is that it just doesn't work or, and then you have this undo feature, which is super convenient. Sometimes things will break and you need to undo. They also have the rollback to checkpoint feature, which is very crucial a lot of the time. If you're getting really deep into some kind of advanced functionality, you may need to roll back to a checkpoint. Oh, I do need to mention something very important. So under settings, you need to go to feature previews and enable diffs. This is very important to save tokens and to it just works a lot better. So basically what this is going to do is enable line by line editing of your code rather than regenerating an entire script. It's going to edit line by line. You're going to save a massive amount on tokens and it's just going to work better because if you do not have this enabled, it will rewrite the entire page of code and that can lead to problems. So highly recommend. It's almost like, I don't know why this is even under feature previews. I have no idea, but this is like a must setting. The first thing you should turn on is turn on diffs. I should have mentioned that sooner, sorry, but it's very important. So JP asked, was the idea for a sales funnel copy generator or funnel page with both design and copy? So yeah, I mean, it could be either one, but my idea was actually to have it fully designed as well. So it would be like a link that I send for a campaign. And it would have a couple input fields. And those input fields would then generate the funnel itself based on some backend context and flow, but it would personalize the funnel basically. Maybe even with different trees, depending on the JSON data we get, schema we get back. If any of these sound interesting, I have about 14 minutes. Maybe we can try to build one of these. Just type in chat if you think any of these we should try to attempt one. Wait a second on that. And then obviously, thank you guys for joining. I'd love to have you join my accelerator program. If you like this training, every single Tuesday, I have a presentation, a training document, and the full video training as well. So you get a lot as a member. So LinkedIn profile optimizer. Yeah, that's a good idea. This one I was thinking it would be best to actually have the data scraped. So a user would just have to input their URL. So I think I'm going to save that one to where I'm going to connect to the LinkedIn API. So a user will just have to input the URL. It'll scrape their profile and recommend optimization. But we could try that one. Kalia says chart generator. Yeah. What kind of charts are we thinking here? I need a kind of reference point. I was kind of a bit vague with this idea. I should have. So let's see, chart generator for sales tracking, lead tracking. Where's the data coming from? And in what format? If you don't mind me asking, is it like CSV files or something? Okay. Interesting. Let's see. Well, I don't have that data, Kalia, unfortunately, so I'm not going to be able to test it. But I will say, what you can do is in your prompt, you can say use chart. I'll leave this note here. Chart. It actually should already know this. Actually, that would be an easy one to build, really. You could say, create a file upload for CSV data and use chart.js. It should actually to analyze, because we want to do an LLM step as well, to send to OpenAI to analyze let's just go ahead and build this, and I'll just maybe do structured or sample data. LinkedIn profile writer, so it's taking user input and creating info based on questions. I'm not sure I follow that. Creating info based on questions. I kind of want to see it generate a chart, but let's see. All right, so I'm gonna go to new chat. And I'm gonna take my initial prompt, this one, and kind of customize it real quickly, hopefully quickly, and put my API key, which is here. And I want to be, okay. All right, so let's describe this app. So I want an app that analyzes, wait, I kind of already wrote this. Chart generator. I want app that allows me to upload CSV sales data for analysis with a OpenAI API request. So I'm gonna zoom in as well. All right, Sue, thanks for joining. App that allows me to upload CSV sales data for analysis with OpenAI request. I want the data to generate sales charts to track progress and trends. I don't know how this is going to work, but I think if we give it a good structured data, so the structured JSON schema, use the return structure upwards to build a nicely styled dashboard. Should include the following. Um, I don't know what to put here, honestly. Let's see. This is kind of something you basically you would come in here and put what data weekly. For now, let's see if it can do a chart with that or 3 charts. I don't know. And then I'm going to go ChatGPT, please generate a CSV of dummy sales data for testing with sales. Oh, this is 01. Whoops. I don't think that will work. I wonder if it will. I guess so. Date, product, quantity, price, total. All right, so I'm going to say in this app here, our CSV has the following headings, just so it knows. And yeah. Okay, I think this should kind of get us somewhere. Let's see. And then I'm going to save that CSV file off screen. Copy this code. Whoa, almost closed it. All right. So let me see. Save as. Saving that document. Okay. All right, so we've got our sales app. Let me just double check what it did. So it's got the API key. It's got, should have. Where is my, here we go. So you gotta look for OpenAI to find the prompt chat completion requests. Look for OpenAI.ts. It may not be named that exactly, but usually the model's wrong again. So I'm gonna go in here, change that to 4.0 mini. And I'm gonna just quickly look at this prompt, URL sales data, analyze the providing blah, blah, blah. Analyze this sales data, provide monthly, weekly, daily sales totals along with key insights. Interesting. Okay. So let's see if this works here. I'm gonna go to desktop sales. Seems to be working. I've never actually had a chat completion request that actually, okay, there's the errors here. So we've got some errors. Type error cannot convert undefined to null. Okay, I don't know what these are, so I'm just gonna attempt fix, and it's probably gonna mess that API request up again. Let's see what it does. But what I was just saying was I've never had a app where a chat completion request is kicked off by a file upload. And I'm kind of actually, I'm liking this idea. So I appreciate the idea. Hopefully it works. Nope. Cannot read properties, reading map. Oh, it looks like, I don't know. Let's try to fix that again. Maybe in, try again. Holy crap. We got somewhere. No data though. Interesting. I wonder what happened in the back end there. So I'll say I see the charts and key insight section, but nothing, but no data or text is shown. I'm gonna say I think the chat completion was successful, and I see the charts. And actually, I'm wondering, there is a way to actually monitor the chat completion requests if you go into the developer console, but it's a bit more technical. And I just saw the model was changed again. One of my biggest pet peeves about Bolt is that it does that all the time. And I'm not sure what it did. What did it do? Corrected the model name. Yep, of course. Improve the user prompts, better error handling. Okay, let's see if it works. Awesome. So we've got our app. I'll share this one with you guys as well. And that's 11 right on the dot. I'm sorry. Yeah, 11 p.m. for me here in Thailand, but it should be, yeah. That's very cool. I really like that idea. Kalia, thanks for sharing that. And I'm glad I chose that one. I really like the idea of having just a file upload and then you get a bunch of cool stuff. That is really cool. Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining. I hope this gets your gears turning and you can develop some really cool stuff with this. And I'd love to see you next week. Thanks, Curtis. Yeah, let's get in touch, Curtis. And I'm gonna go ahead and stop this recording. I'll stick around if there's any final questions, but thanks so much. And I'm super excited I got to share this with everybody. And look out for an email with the training documents. And I'm gonna add this app as well. You just need to make sure you change those API keys out because I'm gonna delete them. Thanks, guys.